First, is Starmer failing to handle the migrant crisis? 0207 862 2222. A survey this morning reveals it's bad news for the government. The public is losing faith in their ability to get a grip on channel crossings. So it's a YouGov poll for the Times, and it found 7 in 10 people reckon Starmer is handling the problem badly. And more than a third of voters say immigration and asylum are the most important issues facing the country right now. This comes after another weekend of unrest. Demonstrations under the Abolish Asylum System slogan took place in more than 30 towns and cities, including Bristol, Tamworth, Newcastle, Mould and Aberdeen. Some of the groups were met by counter-protests organised by groups such as Crawley Stand Up to Racism. In some locations, they outnumbered the anti-migrants. What does this say? The enemy doesn't something, he arrives by... Oh, OK. This is he doesn't arrive by small boat, he drives a limousine. That's the more left-wing approach, saying that it's the rich who are the enemy. Police broke up plenty of clashes and there were dozens of arrests. Labour have pledged to end the use of migrant hotels by 2029. And they now say they're going to overhaul the asylum appeal system in the hopes of reducing demand for hotels. Do you think this will help them, Nina? Or is it too far gone?
It's tipped over the edge, isn't it? It's such a political mess, really. The trouble is that it's a year in to the government, and this situation is not something you can turn off like a tap. So although Starmer has... I don't think he's failed yet. He hasn't succeeded.
What do you think?
You have to give it more time.
I think he's completely failed. I mean, a record 111,000 asylum seeker applications were made since June, which is an increase of 14% since the previous year. Clearly something is going wrong. There is clearly an attraction to come to this country illegally and claim asylum. The real point here is if you're coming on a small boat, you are leaving a safe country, and you are coming to the UK because you are an economic migrant.
You are not necessarily an economic migrant. That is not true.
Why are they leaving France then?
Because perhaps they have family here. Because they perhaps
right. So they're not fleeing war in France. They are coming here for economic reasons.
By any international law, they are allowed to go to the country of their choice.
Is that right, though?
They are. No, they're supposed to be a safe country.
Isn't it like if your house caught fire, Nina, and you run next door for safety, and then you think, well, I don't really fancy the wallpaper here, so you decide to go 2 doors down. They say, well, why are you here? You've just run from number 16. You say, well, my house is on fire. And they say, well, yeah, but number 16 isn't on fire. Yes, you were safe in France.
I understand that, and there are obviously economic migrants. Nobody's going to deny that. But they are not all. And the last year or so, and longer than that,
they left France?
The people have been spent their time demonising migrants and catastrophising the
exacerbating
this on social media
and
pretend and
they are more likely to commit crime
and putting labels like rapists on, so that everybody thinks that any migrant
Reem says there's a factual basis.
By fact, per capita, those migrants are significantly more likely to commit crime. This is why people are upset. People are upset because their taxpayer money is being forced to foot the bill for huge numbers, thousands of people coming over to the country illegally. You might say they're asylum seekers. I would say perhaps even if their asylum case was valid, the fact that they're leaving a safe country, the fact that they're coming over to the UK illegally is proof of the fact that they are economic and cultural migrants.
Right. Okay.
Now, I have no problem with migration as a whole. I think migration is fantastic for this country, but I don't think British taxpayers should be forced to foot the bill. I think we should have a keyhole solution where migrants aren't in receipt of any welfare benefits.
A keyhole?
If they want to, yes, so if they want to come to the UK, they have to work. They have to support themselves and their dependents.
They want to work, and they are not allowed to work.
I want to change that, yeah.
I think you say that, but they can. I mean, Macron says the reason that they come to Britain from France is because you can work in Britain.
So we need identity cards. We need to be able to identify people so that they are.
They throw their papers in the water.
Let's take a call. Barbara's in London. Sorry to keep you waiting, Barbara. Hiya.
Hello there. Hi. I do think Starmer's totally failed. I think he's being reactive rather than proactive. There's no deterrent. He's not created any sort of deterrent by offshore processing or anything like that, which I think is the only thing that will stop them. Nigel Farage has got exactly the right idea to deport illegally immigrants, but also there should be a closer check on people that we're letting in legally. I believe they're waving quite a few people through because it's quicker to agree to asylum than not. It creates more paperwork. And also, how do they check out their validity when they've thrown away their papers?
Yes.
If they say they've come from Syria, there's no proof they haven't.
Well, maybe you have to say if you've thrown away your papers, you're just not going to get in. We're sorry. I don't know.
I agree with that.
But lots of them that are saying that they are asylum seekers, they are throwing away their papers in the ocean. I mean, I've seen TikTok videos of these people literally showing off about the fact that they're throwing their documents in the ocean.
Well, in that case, those people we just deport. Because if they.
But to where? We don't know where they're from.
Where to? Yeah, because that means you don't know where to. Rwanda.
The point, Rwanda was just a gimmick. There is no way that Rwanda would have worked apart from the fact that it's our own High Court that said it was not a safe place.
Rwanda is a safe place. Come on.
Our High Court.
I think it's so insulting for Westerners to go in and say these African countries are so unsafe. I know people that live in Rwanda and love it.
It's nothing to do with
let's take another call.
It is not.
Thank you,
that's
Barbara.
Not true.
Thank you, Barbara. Lively day back today. Peter in Wolverhampton, hello.
Hi, Jeremy.
Now, we were told that Labour would smash the gangs, and they haven't.
Yeah, well, which gangs? I mean, I think until we've rebuilt the homelands of these people, as you said earlier, there's no point in sending them home. We've blown up their homes. Let's give them a chance.
Well, we're not the country we were. We can't go around, as you say, rebuilding people's homelands. We can't even rebuild our own inner cities. So I don't know how we're supposed to start on that.
The Americans, after the Second World War, destroyed Nazi Germany, then spent 132 billion rebuilding it. So we need a plan like that.
So where would you start? Because you've got quite a few countries to choose from. I won't even mention Gaza, but you could start with Syria. How much could we rebuild that?
You've got to rebuild everything from Libya to Afghanistan. It needs a massive American investment, a British investment plan, and we've got to make up for what we've done.
This is like colonialism.
This is not colonialism. It is the fact that we owe, for instance, we owe a lot, as Peter, perhaps you'll agree with me, that, for instance, the people who come from Afghanistan, people who worked as interpreters with our army.
They don't want your help. They don't want the West going in and intervening and rebuilding things. That's colonialism.
Reem, will you just stop for a moment? I'm not saying that we should rebuild Afghanistan. Obviously, with the Taliban in power, that is not saying. But the people who are saying send people back who are Afghani people who are applying, saying, Farage says, saying that, we should not be sending them back to Afghanistan.
Let's pause. We'll take a break and then more calls. Now, your calls on whether Sir Keir Starmer is failing to tackle the migrant crisis he said he'd sorted out. And it was Barbara who called and said, why can't we just send people back to wherever? And obviously, it's very difficult to send people into some countries which are war zones, etc. Although the Reform leader, Nigel Farage, doesn't think so.
You say migrants in hotels should be deported. Mm-hmm. Where should they be deported to if their country isn't safe or if another country won't accept them?
I'm sorry, I've had enough of this. If you come from Afghanistan, you go back to Afghanistan. End of. This idea we can't send people to certain countries, all the false claims that people make about their own personal lives. I'm sorry, we're done. We're done. We've had enough.
I watched that thinking that I was on holiday watching it thinking he might win the election with that. Because no other party will say that.
Yes, no other party can say it because, of course, they know it's impossible to do. Unless we leave the ECHR, the Human Rights Act, we abolish it all, we relieve ourselves from all of the legal restrictions.
Well, we might look, Labour Home Secretary Lord Blunkett, former Labour Home Secretary, has just said this morning we should suspend the European Convention on Human Rights and get a grip on the issue, and says we also need identity cards. So they're scrabbling around here.
Even if we do all of that, what would happen is Farage as Prime Minister would have to go and negotiate with the Taliban. Do we really think that's going to happen?
It's not going to happen.
Well, can't he just put people on a flight and fly to Kabul?
What? But the thing, no, you can't.
Where's
just
the plane going to land unless there's a deal?
They're going to be shot down or whatever. I mean, the thing is, what Starmer, as I understand it, and Yvette Cooper have been trying to do, is to set the ground ground to get relationships with other countries, like we have with Albania, which Rishi Sunak negotiated. So the number of Albanians who came here has dropped dramatically.
Yeah.
So now with Syria, David Lammy's gone to Syria in the last few weeks and hopefully getting some kind of arrangement there. Yvette Cooper started negotiating with Germany last December to try and stop the boats being stored there.
Do you think they're making progress here?
They are laying the groundwork, but it's not fast enough.
But also, we are an island nation. This is what we don't, and people can't understand, is we should have the best defended, or the most defendable border in the world.
Yeah,
we've got island sea all the way round.
The fact that we can't defend our borders is a really, really big problem, and I understand completely why British people are extremely upset about this fact. The fact that you don't know who these people are coming illegally, and I think that what I'm personally quite upset about is the hotels. They're extremely expensive. They are extraordinarily expensive for the British taxpayer. And they're embedded. I mean, London has most of the hotels, the majority of them, about 12,000 people in these asylum seeker hotels. Whilst they're awaiting their applications to be processed, we don't know who they are. We don't know what their criminal background is. We literally have no idea how old they are. And yet these people are integrated.
Labour has halved from 400 hotels to just over 200. They've done that in a year, which is pretty good going.
Hotel beds or hotels?
Hotels.
Okay.
Hotels.
John in West Sussex, hi.
Oh, hello.
Is this going to bring Labour down, this issue?
I don't think it's doing Keir Starmer any good. I think that another U-term is definitely hurting the Labour government. I think the whole migrant crisis is blown out of proportion. I think that the other option of detention centres is pretty abhorrent. I feel that 1 in 32,000 of these asylum seekers being accused of a crime is a very, very tiny statistic compared to usual criminal statistics amongst the British population.
I don't know where you've got that figure from. That 1 in 32,000.
Per capita, migrants are more likely to commit crime.
Yeah, OK. What Reem says different. Thank you, John. Alan in Manchester, hi.
Hi, how are you?
All right, thanks.
I absolutely agree with John there. And I think Keir Starmer is making a real mess of it by supporting the likes of Farage views. And what he should be saying is, look, we're going to keep these people safe. And exactly as John just said, the actual proportion of baddies amongst all the people coming in is minute.
Is there a reason for us to take them in terms of we've got slowing birth rate? We need people, apparently?
For work, exactly that. We can't have it both ways. And I've just spent 5 weeks in Chios helping at a refugee warehouse that supports refugees.
In Chios, in Greece.
And they are in Chios in Greece, and they are the nicest people. When you speak with them and you hear their circumstances as to why they've become refugees, it's heart-wrenching, absolutely heart-wrenching.
It's amazing,
Alan, I was going to say that the trouble is, people don't see them as human beings. The humanity is gone and the empathy is gone, and people just see a demonised figure. People keep talking about, they're all rapists, and so they see as figures. So do you think
Trump has said equivalent to that about Mexicans?
So, Alan, do you agree that is part of the problem?
That is a great part of the problem, is we're demonising these people.
Do you think, Alan, should we just open our borders completely, do you think, and let anyone into this country who wants to come in?
I think, right, when we were part of the EU, we need the workforce. We can vet them. The trouble is we're not vetting them quick enough. And to aid them to work. They're all willing to work. They'd all start working and help this country get back on top.
Thank you so much. Thanks. Reem wants to come in.
Yeah, I just did a quick Google of the statistics around per capita. So foreigners are convicted of up to 23% of all sex crimes. So, of course, that does mean that per capita, in terms of the population, they do tend to commit more crime than the average population in the UK.
And foreigners as in just people who were born outside this country?
I believe it is people that were born outside of the United Kingdom. So, look, I mean, I think think we have to be honest about the statistics, and when the government hide them, that's when people start questioning it. But I do agree we shouldn't be demonising migrants. I think migration is a really, really fantastic thing. And actually, what we should have is remove the welfare benefits so that British taxpayers aren't footing the bill. But if you want to come to the UK and work and you can afford to support your dependents, you should be allowed to.
Someone comes with a brain tumour, they're going to get £500,000 worth of NHS treatment.
Well, that's why they shouldn't. So again,
you can't say no to them, can you?
No, you should not be allowed to have free NHS treatment. Migrants that come here legally have to pay an NHS surcharge. They don't get a free NHS healthcare. So we should have a similar system where it's a lot easier to come to the UK and work if you want to.
Okay.
If you choose to.
Let me take another call. Hang on. Richard in Buckinghamshire, hi.
Yeah, hi. To be honest with you, I'm absolutely sick of this crisis. Migrant crisis as well as illegal immigrant crisis. And it's about time that the successive governments have let us down. They've got laws to actually protect our borders. We could put the border in the middle of the ocean, the English Channel, and we could defend our borders correctly.
And push the boats back.
Yeah, push them back. We'll give them the choice to either take themselves back or not take themselves back. It's their choice. And if we push them back, listen, we've got to stop all migrant crisis, all of it. It's just gone on long enough. And I'm on the ground here. And, you know, you get spat at by these illegal immigrants. You get abused by these illegal immigrants. And how comes they got in here illegally?
Okay.
We have a sovereign country. Use the laws.
OK, Richard, thank you. Thanks for all your calls. I hope we are balanced on that. Later, we'll be asking whether it's time to stop calling old people sweet. After the break...